vast land, the district that is home to the largest dam in the country, a Gariep Dam, and this district has two mines situated in Jagersfontein and Koffiefontein. The natural resources and the geographical position of this district makes it a site with the best potential for investment and development. Yet, Honourable Speaker, this district is still the lowest with unemployment rates and the highest in poverty. We present the speech during the month of March, a somber month in which we lost one of our own, Honourable Speaker, MEC Pule Isaac Herbert, fondly known as Tate Magwe, and his protector, Vuyo Mdi, on the 5th of March 2023. We pay tribute to him as we present this budget speech right here at one of the schools that he was most proud of, Oranje Krag Combined School. During this month, Speaker, you have sworn in new members of the Free State Legislature. And on the 14th of this month, a new redefined executive committee of the province was appointed by His Excellency Honourable Premier Mxolisi Dukwana. The Premier provided immediate direction to a proposed mantra for the province, a proposed slogan that states, Free State, the heart of South Africa. That will centre around taking bold and decisive decisions with Free Staters and our communities top of mind. Business unusual, and indeed, Honourable Speaker, his actions which we have experienced thus far is business unusual. Honourable Speaker, we are also reminded that during this month, on the 21st, in the year 1960, police officers in a black township in South Africa opened fire on a group of people who were peacefully protesting oppressive past laws, killing 69 black souls. The anniversary of the Sharpeville massacre is remembered world over every March the 21st on International Day for Elimination of Racial Discrimination, Human Rights Day. This month reminds us of our short lifespan in which we have to have faith, we have to pray and deliver with urgency. May their revolutionary souls rest in eternal peace. Honourable Speaker, we are tabling the budget during very, very difficult domestic and global environment. On the global economic outlook, the recent economic forecast by the International Monetary Fund expects global growth to slow down to 2.9% in 2023 from 3.4% posted in 2022. Whilst the higher than expected global inflation peaked in 2022 and is projected to recede to 6.6% in 2023 from the 8.8% estimated in 2022. If this disinflation trend persists, Honourable Speaker, reprieve from the sustained hike in interest rates and improvement in cost of living will materialize. In the interim and in the medium term, the recent opening of China's economy is anticipated to drive global growth and trade flow, given the country's prominent position as the second largest economy in the world. As a caveat, the deepening geopolitical tensions adversely affecting global trade and capital flows, in particular the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and the lingering effect of COVID-19 in China, tightening global financial conditions, central banks' hawkish stance to raise domestic interest rates to fight rising inflation and cool the economy, worsening debt distress in some regional economies, and persistent global supply bottleneck pose a considerable threat to the global growth and inflation outlook. Honourable Speaker, the recent developments in the US financial markets, you know it has been a topical issue, namely the slump of the Silicon Valley Bank has sent shocks across global economies. The JSE was not spared in this regard. Standard Bank shed 3%, ABSA 3%, Capitec 2.5%, and Nedbank 1%. These developments are expected to put more pressure on the subdued economy, Bringing us to our domestic economic outlook, Honourable Speaker, the IMF latest forecast expects South African economy to grow by merely 1.2% in 2023, but this growth has been revised downward to 0.3% by the South African Reserve Bank in January. Also, the Reserve Bank expects the elevated headline inflation of 6.9% in 2022 to recede to 5.4% in 2023, falling slightly below the 6% upper band of inflation target. Honourable Speaker, notable downside risk to our domestic growth and inflation outlook remains, amongst others, the extensive shortage of electricity supply, which affects business productivity and earnings, elevated domestic inflation rates, weakening rand exchange rate, low gross fixed capital formation, and declining household disposable income. However, speedy implementation of economic reforms is necessary at a national level. To support economic growth, reduce unemployment, resolve the existing energy crisis, and attract much needed foreign and capital investment. Let's zone into home. Honourable Speaker, the Free State economy contracted to 2% in 2022, contrasting the 3.6% growth rate recorded in 2021, and the provincial economy is expected to grow by 0.1% in 2023. Owing to significant contractions in the agriculture, mining, and manufacturing sectors, our province continues to battle with persistently high rates of unemployment, poverty and income inequality, and the latest quarterly labour force survey report by Statistics South Africa reveals an increase in our provincial unemployment rate to 34.6% in the fourth quarter of 2022 from 33.8% in the previous quarter. Women and the growing youth population bear the brunt of the high unemployment rate in our province. According to the recent Statistics SA report, women unemployment and youth for ages 15 to 34, unemployment rate rose to 39.1% and 47.1% respectively in the fourth quarter of 2022. Interpretively, out of the economically active working population of about 1.21 million in the province, about 332,000 women and 275,000 youth were employed in the fourth quarter of 2022. Honourable Speaker, you may want to ask the question, how do we tackle these challenges? And perhaps we want to ask, what are job creation and economic drivers? His President, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, outlined the progress report of Operation Vulindlela, which is a joint initiative by the Presidency and National Treasury to accelerate the implementation of structural reforms and support economic recovery. Structural reforms are intended to change the structure of our economy, to reduce input costs, lower barriers to entry, and increase competition. Lower costs, greater efficiency, increase the competitiveness of the economy, and create new opportunities for investment. These reforms place South Africa on a new trajectory of high and sustained growth. These include a greater impetus on fixing challenges relating to water, energy, land, our partnerships with corporate SA, public-private partnerships, infrastructure, transport sector, innovation and technology, which includes the digital communications sector, industrialization, investment promotion, and now there's a new visa regime outlined by our Honourable President, and most importantly, local, rural and township economies. And yes, we may say all talk, but does this budget outline the following actions? We will be talking actions, Honourable Speaker. The Honourable Premier has constituted thus far a water specialist task team to implement water security strategy, and a team who really understands water economics. The Water Services Infrastructure Grant is valued at 125.9 million, and that's specifically based to municipalities. Water and Sanitation has allocated a full budget to each province due to the water boards, but 9.7 million was allocated additional to Bloem Water for urgent service delivery interventions, and above the main division of revenue funds that are also allocated to the province and local municipalities. On energy, Honourable Speaker, the province continues to support an energy mix approach to the energy crisis. We have many coal mines in the province that are going through applications for extension and relicensing, and we continue to support those mines. We have further welcomed the multi-billion rand gas project in Virginia by Renergen, which is another catalyst for economic growth in the province. We really appreciate the economic spin-offs from this investment, and we have encouraged the agricultural sector to continue to utilize commodities such as the oversupply of maize, our new buzzword, hemp and cannabis, sorghum, as processed from crop to energy, and of course, plastic, rubber, waste solutions that will bring massive job creation to this province. We encourage the ongoing work between the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, the Department of Environmental Affairs, and the Department of Agriculture in supporting and formalizing small-scale miners, farmers, and waste management proprietors in this province to be able to take up this mammoth task. That is our contribution to the 50,000 target of young people employment in this province. But the municipalities have a major role to develop and correct the council resolutions, compliant processes to be the market to absorb this energy supply that will come from these plans to support the just energy transition. On land, Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Premier has outlined in the SOPA that the audit of unused and underutilised land owned by the provincial government must be finalised in order to make land available for redistribution. Land absolutely is a catalyst for economic growth. And as to that, I'd like to highlight, Speaker, that the South African Reserve Bank has introduced carbon tax in June 2019 as a policy measure to help achieve the Cabinet-approved national determined contributions. And these are commitments that were under the Paris Agreement on Climate Change. And part of this is part of the industrial agricultural strategy that we have, and that's to include the industrial process emissions allowance of 10%, the fugitive emissions allowance of 10%, a 10% maximum allowance for trade-exposed industries, an allowance for up to 5% for participating in the carbon budget. And in this way, it is creating a greater impetus to industrialization in our province. And this is the huge endowment that we have above and below the ground, below and above the land for economic value for our province. We have to ensure that these lands are designated and zoned for industry and agriculture, and we're very excited about SAR's future announcement on water credits because that will assist us with our water strategy too. In terms of corporate SA and public-private partnerships, Honourable Speaker, the province has thus far registered 5 PPP projects with National Treasury, and these are located within the Departments of Health and Community Safety, Roads and Transport. The members of the Executive Council will outline the budgets and plans for those partnerships during their respective budget speeches. Honourable Speaker, on infrastructure investment remains a catalyst for economic growth and creation employment opportunities. In the 23-24 financial year, the province plans to spend more than 5.071 billion on infrastructure investment. The maintenance of provincial roads and delivery of human settlements account for 58% of this total budget. So out of that 5 billion, 58% goes to human settlement and roads. The planned infrastructure investment in this coming financial year spreads across all 5 districts within our province, where Mangaung will be receiving 29.6%, Thabo Mfatsanyana 19.2%, Lejwe-Leputswa 18.9%, Fezile Dabi 11.3%, and Harib District, which I reported last year was only 3.1%, will receive 8.9% in this financial year. Honourable Speaker, I'm pleased to further announce that in the 23-24 financial year, the province will receive an additional 187.2 million rands through performance-based incentive systems, which will be managed by National Treasury. This program is aimed at improving effective planning and deriving efficiencies within the infrastructure delivery chain. These additional allocations are received by the following departments. Department of Education obtained 78% of that amount and qualifies for an incentive allocation of 109 million. The Department of Health scored 80% and qualifies for 78.2 million. These incentive allocations are already earmarked for the implementation of those identified projects that have been submitted by both departments. Honourable Speaker, we are also delighted by the announcement of 25 major infrastructure projects to the value of 138 billion that have been registered with Infrastructure South Africa, and that will be monitored by the Office of the Premier, because it's both at a provincial and a local government level. On technology, as the Department of Health continues to digitalize patient records, the Honourable Premier has requested that we ensure that the entire public service is digitalized for the benefit of efficiencies, automation, and record keeping. We will work with the relevant CETAs, TVET colleges, and technical divisions of both of our universities and other education institutions for the implementation thereof. This will be led by the Office of the Premier. There's a unit already established in the department, and it is another way to ensure that our young people in our province benefit from new economic opportunities. On industrialization, the Free State, the heart of South Africa, Free State, the heart of South Africa. Our GDP, as you may be aware, is calculated or defined as the value of finished goods, services or products in a market for consumption. One of the catalytic ways to grow our GDP, Honourable Speaker, is through industrialization, manufacturing and production. We will continue to invest as a province in our industrial parks, into the Special Economic Zone, specifically Maluti, Apufung Special Economic Zone, and we'd like to, upon completion of the necessary advisory processes, commission a new Special Economic Zone in Lejuleputswa district, which will focus on this energy mix. And of course, as the State of the Province addressed, our Premier rose to the occasion to advise that the Bram Fisher Airport node will have the first phase implemented during this financial year, together with national departments and our provincial department and Mangaung Metro Municipality. On investment promotion, the development of industrialists and manufacturers through development funding institution, private sector, investors and financial partnership, Free State proprietorships are top of mind when it comes to trading in this province. Destia, together with Intergovernmental Relations Unit in the Office of the Premier, will implement a strategy to reignite the Free State to be the gateway of the country into Africa and the world. How do we use the state budget, Honourable Speaker, to advance the Free State economy? I want to brief the House on the latest development, Honourable Speaker, with regards to supply chain management reforms. The preferential procurement regulations of 2022 were promulgated in November 2022, with an effective date of implementation being the 16th of January 2023. The provincial spend on designated sectors in 2022-23, as we took that out of our total budget, subject to the rest of the budgeting, amounted to 611 million rand. And 45% of that amount was spent on women-owned companies. 52% of that amount was spent on youth-owned companies. 0.71% was spent on disabled entities or people living with disabilities, and 1.41% was spent on military veterans. Lots more work needs to be done in this sphere. Gender mainstreaming, currently implemented, will have a special focus in ensuring equality in the market systems of our province. And Free State provincial government is a market system, Honourable Speaker. On municipalities, Honourable Speaker, the above that we have mentioned cannot be achieved or implemented without municipalities. In 21-22 municipal financial year, the revised allocation for the Municipal Infrastructure Grant, MEC, totaled 779.3 million, and the province spent 618.6 million, or approximately 80% of that allocation. In the implementation of the 21-22 MEC projects in the office, it created 1,839 temporary jobs. and we can do much more with that amount given the infrastructure allocations for those funds. About 356,961 households were serviced and 25-kilometer roads and stormwaters were constructed during the 21-22 MIG financial year. Honourable Speaker, in consultation with the National Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs and National Treasury, 12 municipalities, namely Letsemeng, Kopanong, Mohokari, Masilonyana, Toholoko, Machabeng, Dihlabeng, Maluti-Apufung, Mansopa, Nwate, Metsimaholo and Mafube received MIG grants to the value of 21-22 MIG financial year on cost reimbursement method, meaning that they spent those funds and as were invoiced, submitted to National Treasury paid those suppliers. Thank you very much to those municipalities. Well done. In the 22-23 municipal financial year, National Treasury allocated 857.9 million through the Municipal Infrastructure Grant to implement various infrastructure projects within 18 receiving municipalities, and it is once again envisaged to estimate 2,500 employment or temporary job creation. 23-24 municipal financial year, through the implementation of the municipal infrastructure projects, the allocation is disaggregated as follows. 64.193 million will be received by 3 municipalities within Karib district, 242.873 million to 4 municipalities within the Ledwele-Putswa district, 374.630 million towards 6 municipalities within the Tabung-Futsanyana district, 176.283 million allocated to 4 municipalities within the Fezile-Dabi district. On governance, fighting crime, corruption, risk and audit management, building an ethical, capable state, and to ensure that we implement at all spheres of government within the prescripts of the law, with value for money, in budget and on time. Every department has a risk and audit committee to ensure that the department's risk management framework meets the statutory requirements as contained in the public sector risk management framework. Furthermore, oversight committees provide in-depth analysis of our performance and navigate the departments and public entities towards sound financial governance. The province achieved a clean audit in COCTA, Treasury, Fleet Management and Housing Fund during the previous financial year, and the Honourable Premier has challenged us that we should add on more departments to that clean audit campaign during the outcome of this financial audit. On fraud and corruption, in his delivery of the State of the Nation address in 2022, the Honourable President committed that a decisive action against corruption will be taken and a clear break in the era of state capture will be made. The National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council has provided architecture for combating corruption in the country. The province aligns it to the national strategy and will further establish a new fraud and corruption task team entailing key stakeholders such as the Office of the Auditor General, the Public Protector, the Public Service Commission, the Criminal Justice System, and key provincial departments such as the Office of the Premier, Provincial Treasury, COCTA, to drive the anti-corruption program of government and in this province. Honourable Speaker, more work is required to meet the national and international standards. During the recent grey listing of South Africa by the Global Anti-Money Laundering Watchdog, the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF, requires us to be very astute in our work. There is no better time than now to increase our efforts in fighting corruption, as the country has committed swiftly to resolve the identified strategic deficiencies within the agreed timeframes. As a province, we are expected to do our part in rectifying those identified deficiencies. Coming to the business of today, Honourable Speaker, the fiscal outlook presented by the Minister of Finance in February 2023 alluded to the traction gained as a result of fiscal consolidation stance adopted several years ago. These gains include, amongst others, restrained growth in consumption, expenditure and reduction of deficit. Therefore, the consolidated financial deficit is projected at 4.2% in the 22-23 financial year and is estimated to reach 3.2% in the 25-26 financial year. However, there is still upside risk to the fiscal outlook, which include increasing debt service costs, unfavorable economic outlook projections, financial position of state-owned companies and entities, and higher public service wage demands. Honourable Speaker, these possible developments might require us to be hawkish in managing our provincial resources. We must continue our fiscal strategy of redirecting budgets towards high-impact service delivery projects and programs. According to the 2023 medium-term expenditure framework, ahead we will maintain our fiscal strategies of budget reprioritization and trade-off, scaling down on non-core items and non-core programs, and promotion of efficiencies within departments. In terms of this framework, Honourable Speaker, allow me to outline the composition of our MTEF framework for 2023. This period, we are projecting to spend more than 128.788 billion. So over the next 3 years, the province is to spend 128 billion over the next 3 years. The budget is disaggregated as follows: 41.844 billion to be spent in 2023-24, 42.577 billion in 24-25, and 44.366 billion in 25-26. Honourable Speaker, our equitable share for the 23-24 financial year amounts to 31.379 billion, and it increases to 32.369 billion and 33.735 billion in the outer financial years, respectively. Our provincial equitable share grows at an average rate of 1.8% over the medium-term expenditure framework, much lower than inflation rates. Included within the equitable share, the following earmarked funds allocated over the period is 1.099 billion towards the Department of Education to address compensation of employees' budget pressures, 315.052 million in the 2023-24, 366.486 million in the 24-25, and 417.612 million in the 25-26 financial year. 1.293 billion to the Department of Health to address challenges of service backlogs, which include antiretroviral treatments and tuberculosis and other sector budget pressures, of 416.514 million in the 23-24, 431.640 million in the 24-25, and 445.278 million in the 25-26 financial years. 1.714 billion to cater for the carry-through effect of salary adjustments implemented in the 22-23 financial year, 564.543 million in 23-24, 571.336 million in, and 578.204 million in the outer respective years. On conditional grants, Honourable Speaker, in this period, the province is allocated 27.701 billion for conditional grants, and the allocation is divided as follows: 9.280 billion in the 23-24, 9 billion in 24-25, and 9.939 billion in 25-26 financial years. The significant reduction noted in the 24-25 year is mainly attributed to the additional budget allocated in the 23-24 financial year for addressing backlogs in the refurbishment of roads. Honourable Speaker, let me briefly indicate the allocation of conditional grants per department. Health will spend 11.715 billion over the 3-year term, the medium-term expenditure framework. This is an inclusive amount of 1.951 billion, which relates to health infrastructure. Education is allocated 5.090 billion over the medium-term expenditure period. An inclusive amount of 2.9 billion is for the school infrastructure, Agriculture and rural development will spend more than 870 million over the medium-term expenditure period. Community safety, roads and transport will spend more than 5.858 billion over the medium-term expenditure framework period, mainly on road maintenance and payments of subsidies for public transport. And human settlements is allocated 3.453 billion over the medium-term period for the development and upgrading partnership grants. Sports, arts and culture will receive 687 million over the term, and for community library services, sports development, social development is allocated 15.987 million for EPWP incentive grant over those financial years, and public works and infrastructure, as well as economic, small business development, tourism and environmental affairs will spend 5.846 million and 2.001 million on this temporary employment grant of the expanded public works program in 23 and 24. The aforesaid allocations include the 54.695 million earmarked for implementation of this program, and thus on EPWP, Honourable Speaker, the integrated grant and in the province will spend 20.7 million, and the balance of 33.9 million will be spent on the social sector EPW incentive grant. Honourable Speaker, on provincial revenue collection. The collection of our own revenue remains an essential in augmenting our fiscal envelope, as it provides additional sources from which we are able to tap in to fund our provincial priorities. Over the 23 MTF period, the province anticipates to collect 3.603 billion. Our projections are that we'll collect 1.184 billion in the 23-24 financial year, 1.208 billion in the 24-25 financial year, and 1.211 billion in the 25-26 financial year. We are, however, mindful of the upside risks alluded to earlier, and will therefore work closely with all those necessary departments to make those adjustments if required. We are working together with departments, Honourable Speaker and Honourable Premier, to strengthen revenue collection process and systems with a view to increase the provincial purse. Our provincial revenue enhancement strategy is still in place, and the departments are urged to take advantage of the strategy and devise innovative approaches that will maximize revenue. On provincial liquidity, Honourable Speaker, we have committed ourselves to build provincial reserves to mitigate the current new risks ongoing and forward. The 23-24 financial year, this province has put aside 117 million rand just to mitigate against those said risks. The province continues to enhance cash liquidity by investing our excess cash on a short-term period to generate an additional revenue stream. Thus far, the 22-23 total interest earned of 61 million has been generated. Thank you. Honourable Speaker, let me now turn to the proposed allocations for the medium-term period, and the details of those allocations are as follows. I would like to advise, Honourable Speaker, that each MEC would be able to present their own structure and strategy for those specific allocations, and therefore we are stating that the estimates of our provincial revenue and expenditure, as well as the 2023-24 appropriation bill, will be outlined due to those budget votes by every MEC in their respective departments. As alluded in the previous budget speeches, this is a very consultative process by its nature, and therefore the budget, Honourable Speaker, we're presenting today is rigorous by national, departmental, provincial discussions, and is officially signed off by the EXCO led by the Honourable Premier. The proposed budget allocations are shaped by the decisions emanating from the sector and technical committees. I would then like to proceed with the proposed allocations per cluster and the related priorities funded. My esteemed colleagues will provide that further detail. On the social sector will receive more than 32.137 billion, or 76.8% of the total provincial budget in the 2023-24 financial year, which increases to 32.547 billion and 33.864 billion in the outer years. Provincial allocations are still biased towards the social sector due to the following. Amongst others, socio-economic challenges within the province and those real issues that we need to deal on service delivery for our communities. Key amongst these challenges are the fact that only 16.3% of the population is covered by medical aids, and thus there is still more reliance on public services. On education, congratulations, Honourable MEC Mohale. Honourable Speaker, it is one of the fundamental factors of development. Education determines economic growth, employment and earnings. In addition, it plays a very crucial role in securing economic and socio-economic progress and improving income distribution. With this said, Speaker, we have allocated in addition an additional equitable share funding of 1.099 billion over the medium-term expenditure framework. This allocation is to assist in addressing pressures related to compensation of employees. Furthermore, an earmarked allocation for 394.093 million for 23-24 financial year is allocated for the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative. And please allow me to extend my congratulations once more again to the late MEC Mahwe and the department on achieving 88.5% pass rate in the 2022 matric results, and I trust Honourable Mohale, we're going to shoot the lights out. The department is allocated 17.558 billion in the 23-24 financial year, one of the largest. 17.339 billion in the 24-25 financial year and 18.074 billion in the outer financial year. Over the medium-term period ahead, the total of 52.971 billion is allocated to this department. On health, congratulations, Honourable MEC Lietu. Honourable Speaker, healthcare services remain a bedrock for the eradication of extreme poverty and economic growth. A government that ignores the health needs of its nation cannot produce healthy labour force nor expect prosperity. This is emphasised by the research conducted by Penny Dash of McKinsey, and in her work she concluded by stating that improving health could be a societal and economic game changer. Over the medium-term period, the department will spend more than 39.847 billion. The allocation is disaggregated as follows: 12.759 billion in 23-24 financial year, 13.286 billion in the 24-25 financial year, and 13.802 billion in the 25-26 financial year. Including in the above allocations is an amount of 1.293 billion specifically over the medium-term expenditure framework period to cater for sector pressures, namely compensation of employees, medicine, service backlogs, and it also includes ART and TB and other goods and service pressures. Honourable Speaker, this department is expected to begin with the digitization of patients. In fact, they have begun already, but it's an expansion of this program in various hospitals. In this regard, we plan to create contract employment opportunities for youth who have relevant IT qualifications. On social development, congratulations, Honourable MEC Koloi. Honourable Speaker, social development remains central in the development of our communities. The scourge of social ills such as poverty, homelessness, drug abuse, abuse of women and children, as well as gender-based violence cannot be tolerated any further. Together with the department, we must fight with all our might to ensure that no vulnerable person sleep in the streets, no child is neglected, and gender-based violence is uprooted. I'm pleased to announce, Honourable Speaker, that over this period ahead, the department will spend more than 3.789 billion on implementing programs aimed at eradicating these social ills. In the 2023-24 financial year, the department's allocated 1.186 billion and 1.277 billion and 1.325 billion in the two outer years, respectively. On sports, arts, culture and recreation, congratulations once again, MEC Mahasa. Honourable Speaker, The clarion call by the Honourable Premier on social cohesion enjoins all of us to appreciate the uniqueness and diversity of our beloved province. We must learn to see each as fellow human beings, appreciate that together we are strong and nothing can stand in our way. We thus encourage the department to continue implementing programs aimed at strengthening social cohesion in the province. Let us also continue with the revival of school sports. The department will receive an amount of 633.328 million in the 23-24 financial year, 643.966 million in the 24-25 financial year, and 663.839 million in the 25-26 financial year. It means that then this department will spend more than 1.941 billion over the medium-term expenditure framework. Honourable Speaker, as alluded to the State of the Province address, Mangaung Cultural Festival, Makufe, remains strong in terms of tourism and economic growth, not only for the province but also for the metro. We agree that, Honourable Premier, we know that this well-known brand, this provincial brand, can be reshaped and repackaged into a major economic catalyst for this province, like the Joy of Jazz and others. Allow us then to move to the economic and infrastructure cluster. Honourable Speaker, infrastructure investment remains a key catalytic and igniting in economic growth. Our unwavering drive to reduce unemployment, poverty and inequality hinges on growing a vibrant economy. Over and above, infrastructure investment must support our small and medium enterprises and local Free State enterprises. It has been proven empirically in many countries that SMMEs have the potential to reduce unemployment rate. The work that will be undertaken in the next financial year, reviewing the current status of our public entities, is expected to yield positive outcomes for the provincial economy, which will bode well for SMMEs. In the next period, over the medium term, the province plans to invest more than 14.435 billion on economic and social infrastructure projects in the province. In the first financial year, we'll invest 4.772 billion, and 59% of that budget will be towards existing infrastructure assets, namely maintenance, refurbishment and rehabilitation, as well as upgrades and additions. Public works and infrastructure. Congratulations, Honourable MEC Mahlatsi. Honourable Speaker, Public Works and Infrastructure's mandates is on the implementation of projects on behalf of this province. This is very critical mandate, and it can make or break the provincial economic plans and fortunes. We continue to support this department in its pursuit to deliver provincial infrastructure projects on time and cost effectively. The department will spend a total amount of 6.138 billion over the medium-term period ahead. The allocation is divided as follows: 1.751 billion to be spent in the 23-24 financial year, 2.09 billion in the 24-25 financial year, and 2.290 billion in the 25-26 financial year. The allocations for the 23-24 financial years include 5.8 million for expanded public works program. This program remains crucial for creating job opportunities in the province as we temporarily skill communities and allow them then to be skilled upwards into more formal jobs, done by this department in coordinating and implementing such programs. The department will also continue the program of township revitalization, which was implemented by the department and will henceforth be shifted to community safety roads and transport to do it in a massification process. This shift aligns well with the mandate of the latter. On the community safety, roads and transport, congratulations, MEC Letewa Matai. Honourable Speaker, our provincial economy is not performing at an optimal level, and that's what we want and what we need, and it's therefore that we have to be alive to all the necessary work that must be done to ignite our economy, and this department is key amongst the issue of roads infrastructure. In the 2021, our provincial economy grew by 3.7% as outlined, and largely with the output of agricultural sector. The sector outperformed many sectors, even during the time of COVID-19, but the Honourable Premier, in his maiden State of the Province address, alluded to the maintenance of roads that should support those industries and drive economic growth in our province. And these activities hover around Vicksburg and Bothaville areas. So, Honourable Speaker, the department's allocation for 23-24 amounts to 3.339 billion, whilst in the outer 2 years, the department will spend 3.117 billion and 3.232 billion respectively. Over the medium-term expenditure framework period, the department is estimated to spend more than 9.688 billion rand. On agriculture and rural development, to the spearheaded that Honourable Ngangisa, and going forward, Honourable Speaker, food security remains fundamental in fighting poverty, preventing malnutrition, and improving health outcomes of any nation. This sector, as indicated earlier, has consistently shown the potential to economic growth and creation of employment opportunities. The recent outbreak of foot and mouth disease, which affected at least 5 provinces, threatened this industry. The Free State province was not spared from this contagious disease, as cases were reported in various towns such as Viljoenskroon, Markwart, Linley, Harrismith, and Herzogsville. We must, however, commend the department for its speedy response to relentless outbreak by the end of October 2022, and had vaccinated more than 75,000 animals and conducted several roadblocks to control movement of animals within and across the province. The department will receive an amount of 814.817 million in the 2023-24 financial year, 859.734 million in the 24-25 financial year, and 891.048 million in the 25-26 financial year. In the medium-term framework ahead, the department is estimated to spend 2.566 billion. On human settlements, congratulations, Honourable MEC Makume. Honourable Premier, we have heard you loud and clear. And forgive my pronunciation. Haorere Hutlise Sriti Sabatu Bahaborona. We agree with you, Honourable Premier, on the provision of dignified shelter is about restoration of dignity, sustainable livelihoods, and security of tenure. In the medium-term expenditure period ahead, the department is estimated to spend more than 4.290 billion. The budget for this period is aggregated as follows: 1.374 billion to be spent in the 23-24 financial year, 1.427 billion in the 24-25 financial year, and 1.488 billion in the 25-26 financial year. On economic, small business development, tourism, and environmental affairs, congratulations, Honourable MEC. Honourable Speaker, this department's mandate is quite extensive and relates to regulation and support of small, medium, and macro enterprises, development and promotion of tourism sector, as well as the protection and management of our environment. The department is key in driving economic levers in the province and thus remains central in igniting the economy and creation of work opportunities. We are mindful as a government that we cannot improve the economic fortunes of the province alone. We are not oblivious to the catalytic role of the private sector in this regard, and therefore continue to work closely with corporate SA and the private sector for the benefit of the province. We invite the private sector to take opportunities provided by our industrial parks in Botshabelo and Tabanchu, in Pudadechaba, as well as the Maluti Apufung SEZ. This department is allocated an amount of 629.507 million for 23-24 financial year, 668.791 million for 24-25, and 687.772 million for the 25-26 financial years. In the medium-term expenditure framework ahead, the department is estimated to spend more than 1.986 billion. Honourable Speaker, allow me to also touch on transfers to public entities, which is included in this budget. In the 23-24, the province is allocating 103.7 million to Free State Gambling, Liquor and Tourism Authority, an entity that generates its own revenue for operational and regulatory purposes. Furthermore, 23-24, an amount of 20 million is allocated to Maluti Apufung Special Economic Zone, and in the outer years, the allocation for the SEZ is increased to 40 million in each financial year. departments that are at the center of government. Honourable Speaker, building a capable, ethical, developmental state remains a key objective and priority of this government. We set ourselves towards a path of eradicating poverty, unemployment, inequality, and we remain resolute in this regard. These noble intentions require a government that is driven by dedicated, capable, and ethical officials. The medium-term period ahead, we have set aside an amount of 6 million to start with the lifestyle audit program. We've started with senior management, but we're going to roll it out to the entire provincial public service. The Honourable Premier has also indicated that there is an urgent need to conduct skill audits throughout the provincial and local government sector. The issue of a square, plug, round hole, skills fit for purpose. We are striving towards achieving that ethical and capable state within the government sector and within this province. Honourable Speaker, the legislature, the Office of the Premier and Provincial Treasury, as well as Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, are at the centre of institutionalising the very core values of transparency, accountability, cost-effective use and public resources. The Speaker, Honourable Speaker, over the next financial year, the three departments will receive an amount of 5.15 billion, which includes the provincial legislature. Office of the Premier, our Premier, Ntati Dudkwana, this office will receive 637.807 million in 23-24, 635.099 million in 24-25, and 645.406 million in 25-26 financial years. In the medium-term period, the Office of the Premier is estimated to spend an amount of 1.916 billion rand. On cooperative governance, traditional affairs, congratulations again, MEC Makume. Honourable Speaker, the mandate of this department entails strengthening cooperative governance and support to traditional leaders and to municipalities. The department is also central in institutionalizing the district development model, which is aimed at improving coherence, planning and implementation of projects and programs across all spheres of government. COCTA has allocated 406.376 million in the 23-24 financial year, 419.852 million in the 24-25 financial year, and 432.409 million in the 25-26 financial year. The department is estimated to spend 1.259 billion over the medium-term period. Honourable Speaker, in terms of Provincial Treasury, the oversight role of this department continues to be reinforced by our partnerships with the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, South African Institute of Internal Auditors, the South African Revenue Services, the National Prosecuting Authority, ESCOM and NERSA, please pay your taxes. Provincial departments, please pay your taxes. The support of Provincial Treasury to municipalities will be strengthened in the medium-term expenditure framework. And the extent the clean audit program is now residing with Provincial Treasury. Treasury is allocated 351.852 million in 23-24 financial year, 370.672 million in the 24-25 financial year, and 382.544 million in the 25-26 financial year. Honourable Speaker, on the provincial legislature, this legislature is allocated an amount of 287.135 million in the 23-24 financial year, 287.135 million in the 24-25 financial year, and 296.842 million in the 25-26 financial year. In total, the legislature is estimated to spend 871.112 million over the medium-term expenditure framework. The funding provides for, amongst others, the oversight role, which our committees, systems, public participation, awareness, and education, as well as support to political parties in the legislature. Let us continue bringing life to the noble vision of this legislature, an activist legislature that champions democracy. And I come to conclusion, Honourable Speaker. We still continue with our tradition as Provincial Treasury and the Department of Education to involve our learners in the provincial budget process. We appreciate the invaluable inputs provided by these young, brilliant minds through their respective essays. The following are some key inputs given by these learners: that government should relook at the tender system and use its own employees to render most services rather than tenders for everything. And in such, that will be creating some jobs, right? Government should improve on basic infrastructure delivery as they will assist in job creation. There is a need for security at schools to protect both infrastructure and the learners, and that's a big call from our learners across the province. There should be improvement in basic infrastructure deliveries like roads, electricity, sewerage, and refuse removal. Yes, young people, you are talking. Improve schools' access to technology and innovation and application in schools. Honourable Speaker, the competition was open to all those districts in the province, and a total of 20 learners from 7 schools participated. Our top 5 learners are here with us today, and I'd like to mention them through you, Honourable Speaker. Palisa Halale from St. Bernard's High School in Mangaung. Karabo Mahluane from St. Bernard's as well in Mangaung. Tabang Modise from Kananelo Secondary School in Kroonstad. Wusin Tanga from Kananelo School in Kroonstad. And Lebohang Kowe from Lerang Secondary School in Ladybrang. Congratulations, young people, and keep up the wonderful work. Honourable Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity, first and foremost, to appreciate and acknowledge the support of our Premier, Tate Dukwana. Thank you so much. To our members of the Provincial Legislature, to those whom have handed over the baton to our new members of the Executive Council, I'd like to thank you too. To our new members of the Provincial Legislature who has hit the ground running, there wasn't time to even think about it. We were busy here yesterday. Thank you as well for the support and the commitment and everything that we've done here yesterday. To the presiding officers within the legislature and the chairperson and members of the Public Accounts and Finance Committee for your unwavering support during this tough annual appropriation process and for holding us as the executive accountable. Thank you very much. Thank you to our organization, to my organization, the African National Congress, for having the trust and faith in all of us as the way we execute our duties and serving our people of the province. I'd also like to extend my word of gratitude to DG Ndati Radikunsani, to you DG, my HOD, Mercy Singh, of the Provincial Treasury and her dedicated team, as well as all the accounting officers and senior management and the entire staff of government who were involved in the preparations of this budget speech. Let me also thank my dear family who is here. Thank you so much for all the support that you have given to me over the years. To God for our health and strength, for our purpose. Honourable Speaker, governance, prudent financial management, service delivery, economic growth, development, transformation, pro-poor policy, the people of this province, unemployment, poverty and equality. It's not only government's business, it's all of our business. Lastly, I'd like to thank you to the people of our beautiful province. We do serve at your privilege. Kia leboa, danki. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let me remind our guests that they are not supposed to participate in the house. We are not supposed to participate. Even applauding means participation in terms of our rules. What does the Honorable MEC propose?
Honourable Speaker, we propose that the bill be referred to the Portfolio Committee on Public Accounts and Finance, as well as the Budget and Oversight Committee for consideration and report back to the House. Thank you.
Any discussion, honourable members? Any objection? Approved. The bill stands referred to the Portfolio Committee on Public Accounts and Finance, as well as Budget and Oversight Committee for consideration and report back to the House. Honorable members, I wish to take this opportunity to welcome our new member in the House, Honorable Teboho Mokoena, and I also missed out on acknowledgements. The Director General of the Free State Province amongst us and the HODs that are here with us. I've also received the leave of absence for Honorable Madiba Chabalala, who is not here today, and Honorable Sam Mashinini. They have submitted the leave of absence. On other announcements, honorable members, there will be a prize giving ceremony for the Grade 12 Essay Budget Competition 2023. The essay was about allocating provincial budget for an inclusive recovery and economic growth amidst rising global and domestic interest rates. Members are requested to join the MEC for Treasury, MEC for Education, and the Premier in the prize-giving ceremony for the top 5 learner. But we all know that the members must leave the stage first in procession when we adjourn. I also receive another announcement that the media briefing will take place in this hall next to the stage immediately when the session adjourns, so when the members have left the stage. On lunch arrangements, I've been advised that those who have gold accreditation cards, they will have their lunch at the venue, the speaker's lunch venue behind the chamber. And those with blue accreditation, there are guests who are coming from outside Harib Dam who came by transport, and their lunch is arranged at the community hall where they had their breakfast when they arrived. And all other guests must remain seated and will be served in the hall. Honorable members, I will also request the guests to remain seated while the honorable members leave the house. This house is adjourned, honorable members, until further notice. I thank you.
Hello, sweetheart.